This week on Supercars Torque, it's part 2 of the Bathurst preview, the Contenders. The big news this week, Dave Reynolds and Matt Payne have been confirmed with Grove Racing for next year. I'm as shocked as you are. No big surprises there. It was all expected, but Dave's contract was actually up at the end of this year, so he has been extended. There will be some new looks for Bathurst. Obviously, these people don't want to have their chance of winning. As previously discussed, special liveries do not win the great race. Name a time where a special livery has. I don't count the David Reynolds, Luke Youlden livery. That was, a bit of an added extra sponsor, and the Greg Murphy, Rick Kelly, the Kmart car with Spider-Man down the side, that was a bit of a special promotion. I don't really count them as special liveries. What we're counting as special, like the Coke livery. That looks absolutely amazing. Harking back to those Wayne Gardner racing days, really, really like that one. Of course, we discussed, I discussed it last week. It's in the preview for this week, the Dick Johnson Racing one. I'm not as impressed as a lot of people seem to be with that one. It looks good. I think it looked a lot better on the EL Falcon than what it does on the Mustang currently. The Boost Boys have got a new livery for the weekend. I think I might have liked the previous one better. I really, really, really do like the wildcard livery, the Greg Murphy, Richie Stanaway one. Team 18, Scott Pye, he's got a new livery for this round. Alspec will be on the car. Once again, it looks like kind of a slapped-on one-round kind of sponsor. What happened to Newlon being on there for the rest of the year? And finally, Macaulay Jones will have Wet and Forget and Tools.com on his car for Bathurst. I predicted it was just going to be Tools.com, so it looks okay. Now, before we get into the preview for Bathurst, this was pre-recorded last week. I did make a stuff up in it. I had the Premier co-drivers the wrong way around, so I'm also going to change my mind. I have got James Goulding and Cameron Hill up really high in my rankings here. I'm not expecting the same kind of pace out of Dylan O'Keefe as what I was out of Cameron Hill, so I'm not expecting that car to go quite as good. I think Dylan will probably do enough to kind of keep it there or thereabouts, and then obviously James Goulding's been having a really good run in that car, so it's still a top 10 capable car. I don't as aggressively feel that that'll be in the fight as much as what I did previously. I recorded this last week, the preview coming up, so it is still the wrong way around. Thanks to everybody who noted it and corrected me on that one. Every now and again, I did make my notes earlier on in the year as the co-drivers, and I never swapped them around. I'd admit in that list, I still had the old main driver of that car. I didn't actually have James Goulding as the main driver of that car in the list. But also, before we get into the preview, don't forget there is the tipping competition. The top 3 on the podium, put them down in the comments down there in the order you expect them to finish in. Closest wins one of the mugs. I'll put a little thing up there somewhere. There's 6 or 7 now I think you can choose from. It is a first in, best dressed kind of thing. So have a look at last week's comment, because we have had probably about 30, 35 entries already in there. So if you go for someone like Shane Van Gisbergen, Waters and Mostert on the podium, that combination's probably already taken. Have a look through, try and pick something different for your chance to win. It's pretty simple. First in, best dressed. And now for my Bathurst preview, the rest of the grid, the Contenders. So last week I ran through who I thought were the pretenders at Bathurst, and this week I'm going to run through who I think are the contenders for the race. Now, I've split this into 2 groups, the outsiders and then the top 5. When you look through, when I get to the top 5, you will understand why those guys are the top 5 and why I'm calling these guys the outsiders. These are all definitely in for a shot at the top 10, but whether or not not they can spring a win. It would basically need something to go wrong for all of the guys in the top 5 for any of those guys to win the race. So kicking it off, we've got Tickford, James Courtney and Zane Goddard. If the package is right for them, both have shown they can definitely be in the fight. Chances are they'll be knocking on the door of the top 10. Courtney's never had the best runs at Bathurst. Zane's been out of the seat essentially all year, but he has been doing a lot of Gen 3 testing, so he might not be super race fit, but he's definitely had the miles this year. Next up, from Tickford, we got Tom Randall and Zach Best. I nearly put these guys into the Pretenders. It hasn't been a great year, really, for either of them, I would have thought. I was expecting a lot more from Thomas. Zach should probably be doing better in the Super 2 than what he is for the seat he's got. But you have got, Zach is doing really good in Super 2. He did put the car on pole at the bend, and Randall has been really impressive at Bathurst the last couple of years as a co-driver. So, the top 10 is expected from these guys. Next up, bit of a controversial one. DJR, we've got Anton De Pasquale and Tony D'Alberto. Sorry to say about this, Tony, but you are the question mark here. Anton definitely has the pace, but will Tony be able to keep up with the top level co-drivers? That's a big question mark. Also, they're running as special 1,000 race DJR livery. Special liveries at Bathurst just do not work. No one has previously won with a special livery, so they're out of the running just off that. Next, Walkinshaw Andretti United, Nick Percat and Warren Luff. 100% this car will be on the podium. Luff's curse, though, is that he can't win Bathurst. He gets the podium every year, but he just doesn't get on that top step. So this is why these guys, they'll if they have that rocket ship Walkinshaw car that Chaz had last year, these guys definitely be on the podium. A win though, that's a big question mark. Brad Jones Racing, Andre Heimgartner and Dale Wood. These guys could really be a dark horse for the race. Dale Wood doesn't seem to be slowing down, even though he's been out of the main game for quite a while now. Could he be the next Warren Luff that just seems to get better with age? And Jaime has definitely proved that he's been on the pace from the last few rounds. So, these guys, the problem is the BJR, Bathurst cursed. They're knocking on the door of being a proper contender for the race. Premier Racing, a little bit surprising here, but we have got James Goulding and Cameron Hill. Jimmy has set the world alight since he's joined Premier Racing. He's got that car kind of consistently into the top 10 in the races. Don't expect a lot out of qualifying, but he will definitely move the car forward. And Cameron Hill only just missed out on that 888 wildcard berth with Craig Lowndes. Next, Grove Racing, Dave Reynolds and Matt Campbell. Dave won Bathurst the other year with Luke Youlden, who was a bit of a handbrake, so Matt Campbell is definitely going to be nothing to stop him from winning. Will Matt be able to run with the top guys? No, but if he can keep it there just in place, so then Dave can have a crack. They've gone very missing the last few rounds, but if they can get that kind of pace back that they had earlier on in the year, these guys will definitely be a contender, could be a contender even for pole and the race win. The big question there, though, is whether Matt Campbell will fall back too much for Dave to be able to bring it forward and challenge with the top guys. Nearly last but not least in this section, the Erebus pairings of Brodie Kostecki and David Russell. They were on the podium last year, so there's no reason why they can't back that up again this year. And then Will Brown and Jack Perkins, if they have the top speed, of course they're going to be in the top 10. It's just how far into the top 10 they can get. And the last of the outsiders is the 888 wildcard of Craig Lowndes and Declan Fraser. If Craig was driving with either of the top two drivers, he'd be right at the top of the pile of the co-drivers. He'd be right there. Declan is leading Super 2 this year at the moment, so these guys could easily, for a wild card, they can easily run in the top 10, if not top 5. there's no question that these guys are probably even the top of the pile of the outsiders in the race. Now, after talking up all of those guys, we are into the top 5. And unfortunately, because of the special livery in 5th position, these guys don't have a chance anymore, but I've put them 5th. Dick Johnson Racing, Will Davison and Alex Davison. Alex always turns up at Bathurst. No matter how much I put him down each year, he turns up and does a brilliant job. Will is in outstanding form. He could very well put the car on pole, and, you know, Alex can run with those guys at the front, the top of the co-drivers. So there's no question why these guys couldn't be a contender for the race. The only thing holding it back is that special livery. In 4th, we've got from Tickford, Cam Waters and James Moffat. The big question mark here, like, no question, Cam, top of his game, everything. The question mark, James Moffat has to race Fabs, Jamie, Garth. That's a tall order for him. It could well be that, you know, that monster car ends up 4th in the line and then Cam can't move it forward against the other guys. So that's what's holding him back. 3rd, 888, Brock Feeney and Jamie Whincup. It's a question mark here. Who will be the faster driver? You know, Jamie could, well, just get in this car and qualify it for them. That's the kind of level that these guys are at. Yeah, you do question who is the co-driver and who is the lead driver with any of the 888 lineups, which then leads me to Shane Van Gisbergen and Garth Tander. Yeah, these guys, I think, since they've been paired together, they've been 1st and 2nd in the race. Shane is he's on another planet at the moment. There's no chink in the armour on this team, except for number 1, Chaz Mostert and Fabian Coulthard. That car was an absolute rocket ship last year. Shane just got left in the weeds with it. Chaz has not got any slower all year, and I'd argue that Fabs is a better co-driver than what Lee Holdsworth was. The only question mark, which I've said all the way through with this one, is if Fabian goes out trying to prove a point and trying to blow everyone away and makes a mistake and puts the car in the wall. That would be the only question mark with this team. They just need to bolt in that setup from last year and just go for it. And they could well take out back-to-back Bathurst 1000s. So, my podium predictions are Chaz Mostert, Fabian Coulthard in number 1, 2nd, Shane Van Gisbergen and Garth Tander, and 3rd, Brock Feeney and Jamie Whincup. It's very hard to look past any of those pairings, and the question marks within the teams is, just tiny little things. So that's it for my Bathurst preview, who I think is going to take out the great race. Now, a couple of things to watch out for over the weekend. The big one to look out for, especially with my predictions, is double stacking in the pits. That could really bring I would say the Brock Feeney car unstuck. If they have to double stack, then it will cause them a lot of issues to try and get up through there, and that's where you're probably going to find someone like Cam Waters or Will Davison on the podium instead of Brock Feeney. The other one that I totally disagree with, but it's still here for this year, is that lucky dog. If you're lapped, you get your lap back under the safety car mess. I don't think we really need it with the way people stop under safety cars and that. You can pretty much get your lap back, but say if Greg Murphy's not doing the greatest job or something like that, it does give a chance for, say, Richie Stanaway to get back on the lead lap, assuming that they're going to be, that way around as who's the fastest in the car. I don't really like that one. But anyway, it is exciting, the big race this weekend. I will try to do a wrap-up of each day on the night, so look out for an extra video probably on Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights, and then my full wrap-up, of course, next Tuesday morning. But until next time, I'm still Dave, and I'll catch you later.